Hello everyone and welcome to EVTN News. Today I have a number of stories to get to, and so let's get right into it. Last week I talked about Bishop James Gulka, the new Archbishop of Denver, and that was Saturday, February 7th, when he was named the Archbishop of Denver. There is a story from his past which I'd like to discuss very quickly. In 2021, Bishop Gulka was a signatory to what many considered to be an exemplary letter issued by the Catholic bishops of Colorado, whereby they helped broadly facilitate religious exemptions from jab mandates. They confirmed the government should not impose medical interventions on an individual or group of persons, and thus they would support religious exemptions from any and all jab mandates, which is a stark contrast to many of their fellow bishops. So I guess credit to him for signing this letter, and that's good news. So we'll see what the rest of the we'll see what the future has in store for him. It's pretty good stuff, though. Pretty encouraging. I think there was a mixed a mixed bit of reaction to his promotion to Archbishop of Denver, so that's a good thing. Okay, so there was an email from Cupich that he sent to his Chicago priest. It was leaked to LifeSite News. The subject of the email was statement of Cardinal Cupich calling for an apology from the White House for a racist social media post. So Cardinal Cupich being political. Oh, what a shock. Part of the text is where he said, portraying human beings as animals, less than human, is not new. A few days ago, we saw that in the White House, such blatant racism is not merely a practice of the past. If the president intentionally approved the message containing viciously racist images, he should admit it. So he didn't even admit it, but Cupich is accusing him. Our shock is real, so is our outrage. Nothing less than an unequivocal apology to the nation and to the persons demeaned is acceptable, and it must come immediately. Now, this is after a video that Trump shared about different political figures with their faces on animal on the heads of animal bodies, and Trump was the lion. And the Obamas were on gorillas. The Obama's faces were on gorillas, and so was Biden. Biden was a baboon, I think. So I don't know. I think a lot of people they take themselves too seriously, I think. And but Cupich is outraged by a social media post that Trump shares. So it kind of shows the character of Cupich, because he hasn't said anything about he wanted to give an award to a radical pro-death politician, and then someone shares a social media post and he's so offended. So that just kind of shows the character of Cupich and what his priorities are. Very political. He's very political, but not Catholic, sad to say. And speaking of bad bishops, we're going to talk a decent bit about that today. The Lepanto Institute has formally requested that Pope Leo lay aside and suspend from ministry a New Mexico priest who entered into a LMNOP domestic partnership for 10 years during a 28-year leave of absence from the priesthood. I talked about this story a few times, but this is the first I've talked about Lepanto petitioning. They're not going to get anywhere with it, but it did make news. But I think it's worth repeating the story because it's so scandalous. Lepanto sent a copy of its August 2025 report to Father Steve Rosera of the Archdiocese of Santa Fe, New Mexico, along with the notarized divorce documents of Rosera and his partner, issued by the Superior Court of California for the County of San Francisco to the Papal Nuncio to the United States, His Eminence Cardinal Christophe Pierre. So yes, this priest was in a domestic partnership. Officials, it's a civil, a civil document, and Lepanto found the document. And this guy apparently is Archbishop Wester's roommate. So what does that say about Wester? But it would lead many to believe a certain thing. Okay, so sending it to Pierre isn't going to do anything because Pierre is fully on board with that kind of stuff. This followed a recent in-person conversation with the nuncio, in which Lepanto brought the scandal to his attention in Washington, D.C. They actually talked to him personally about it. I don't know if that was Hitchborn or someone else. At the end of September last year, the Archdiocese of Santa Fe held a convocation of priests. And in the presence of 80 priests, a brave priest stood up and challenged Archbishop Wester about the story on Rosera. A priest who was there sent Lepanto the following statement. Last night, that was in September, Father Anonymous called out the bishop on the Stephen Rosera scandal. The bishop snapped at Father Anonymous and said that these negative reports are untrue and hurtful, and anyone who has read this stuff and believes it is full of crap. So, kind of was a gut punch to Wester, and he reacted accordingly, reacted as though he had something to hide. So, speaking of having nothing to hide, well, I guess that's the complete opposite. The SSPX has nothing to hide because they've said what they want to do. Kissy Fernandez met with Father Pagliarani on Thursday, and Kissy requested that the SSPX bishops not participate in the meeting. So the bishops came hoping to talk as a group with, possibly a group from Kissy's dicastery for the doctrine of the faith. And the Vatican released their statement immediately, right away. So I won't read the whole thing, but they said it was reiterated by the Holy See that the ordination of bishops without the mandate of the Holy Father, who holds supreme ordinary power, which is full, universal, direct, and immediate, and direct. So they said direct twice, would imply a decisive rupture of ecclesial communion, schism, with grave consequences for the fraternity as a whole, quoting John Paul II and Ecclesia Dei, which was, of course, undone by Benedict XVI, but they ignored that part of it. And also, the Ecclesia Dei really doesn't exist anymore. Francis obliterated that. He obliterated the department for Ecclesia Dei or whatever it was. So just kind of cherry picking stuff they want. All right. And they said, therefore, the possibility of carrying out this dialogue presupposes that the fraternity suspend the decision of the announced episcopal ordinations. So they also talked about Vatican II. And I'm actually going to look in the article and see what it says about that, because some people pointed out that it's interesting that they said that there were unsettled parts of Vatican II. Let's see. They proposed a path of specifically theological dialogue. Okay, they said, and then they talked about, they said the purpose of this process would be to highlight among the issues under discussion the minimum for full requirements, or the minimum requirements of full communion with the Catholic Church, and consequently an outline to outline a canonical statute for the fraternity. Okay, so, oh, did it say, where did it say about Vatican II? Let me find the whole thing, because people found this interesting. Let's see. Okay. Oh, it's not in English. Okay. Darn. Okay. Well, it did say something about Vatican II. Wow. Yeah, it said something like the Vatican II isn't a settled question or something like that. Darn. Well, I guess I'm not as prepared as I hope to be. All right. Well, while I guess I can research that a little bit, but while I do that, let me share my screen here. I want to show you a video of an Irish priest, and this is the new Pentecost, guys. I may have to turn up. Let's see, where's the volume? The volume's the whole way up. I'm going to turn it up a little bit louder so you can hear it a little bit better.
We don't come to.
Okay, so this is a priest in Ireland. Look at that nice church. It's a really nice church.
We don't come to Mass to worship God. That's not what it's about. It's about sharing a meal. There's plenty of times for worshiping Him and so on. That's for some other occasions. So it is a time for sharing a meal, taking up those words He used at the Last Supper. Take this, all of you, and eat it. How far we went from that. We had people lined along the altar rails, and we're feeding them the same way. And I don't mean any disrespect to people, but you know, we have to say it, feeding people the same way as we feed animals, bringing the Eucharist to them, putting it into their mouths the same way as to say we would feed the animals.
All right. You said that we don't come to Mass to worship God. It's what's the quote here?
We don't come to Mass to worship God. That's not what it's about. It's about sharing a meal. There's plenty of times for work.
It's about sharing a meal, and He doesn't want to feed people the Eucharist like animals. So this is the new Pentecost. This is a logical progression of the new Pentecost. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to see if I can get back to this Fernandez thing. Okay. So that's an Irish priest, what he had to say about communion on the tongue, I guess. But he also added his opinions on the Novus Ordo Mass, and I don't know. Go to the Latin Mass, guys. You won't hear that at the Latin Mass. It's also, I really wasn't surprised. I've heard that Ireland is bad, and that just kind of proves it. And there's some SSPX options in Ireland. Probably hear something a little bit different. Okay. All right, so getting back to Kissy and the SSPX. According to the dicastery, the theological dialogue, again, that's what Kissy proposed, would address contested questions tied to the interpretation of post-Second Vatican Council teaching. including God's will regarding the plurality of religions, the distinction between an act of faith and religious submission of mind and will, and the differing levels of assent required by various Vatican II texts and their interpretation. The underlying issue is whether the SSPX must accept Vatican II as doctrinally binding, or whether it can treat it as primarily pastoral and therefore open to critique. The dicastery said that the discussions would seek to identify minimum. Oh, okay. So they could have a debate on Vatican II with Kissy. That's a possibility. Now, the July 1st date is what they picked, and I don't know if they're going to deviate from that, but I think it might be worth a try. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm not telling. I can't tell them what to do. They're not going to listen to me anyway. But if I had to tell them what to do, I would say, "Hey, give it a try. You know, see what they have to say." Really, I mean, it's not going to hurt anything, and it'd be very telling, I guess. I mean, all these things that I'm talking about right now, there's a crisis. There's an egregious crisis in the church. Leo is Francis II. I mean, it's very obvious to anyone who's been following the news. Okay. Dr. Ed Feezer. You know, I saw that he wrote a book against critical race theory, and he posted on Twitter this statement. He said, I'm sorry, I have something stuck in my throat, it seems like. But he said, I had been invited to speak later this month at St. John's Seminary in Los Angeles. I have now been informed that the event is being canceled due to complaints from unnamed critics who find me too controversial. Well, I mean, he opposed critical race theory, but Gomez said something similar. So I don't understand. But anyway, meanwhile, and this wasn't, I don't know that this was the focus of the criticism, but I'm sure that the crowd that is opposing him is certainly not happy. Okay. Let's see here. Meanwhile, the always controversial Father James Martin will be speaking this month at the Los Angeles Religious Education Conference on the theme Hope on the Horizon, LMNOP Catholic Update 2026. It appears that for some in Archbishop Gomez's archdiocese, Father Martin is welcome to speak about the topic to educators of Catholic youth, but I am not welcome to speak to seminarians about how to defend the Church's teaching on the soul's immortality. Okay. All right. So Ed Feezer is canceled, and I'm okay with that because, you know, let's just call it what it is. It's a crisis. All right. Pope Leo has named recently, in the past few days, Sister Simona Brambilla, one of his favorite bus nuns, as a member of the dicastery for bishops. He also confirmed numerous previous members, including the outrageously pro-LMNOP cardinals Cupich, Tobin, Fernandez, Gretsch, Tolentino de Mendonca, Cobo, and Hyung Sik. So a lot of the same, but notoriously Cupich and Tobin, they're still there. And a lot of the Vatican officials kind of overlap on different committees. So just because they're in one department doesn't exclude them from being part of another one. But this is the people deciding bishops. So Cupich and Tobin, both McCarrick cardinals, they're going to be deciding new bishops, and they have been for a long time. And all the people that are saying, oh, give Leo time to clean it up. He's had 10 months. 9 months maybe. I don't know. It's a long time. He's had enough time to get rid of him. And he's putting more bus nuns in charge of more things. But yeah, let a bus nun decide. Bus nun and effeminate, possibly LMNOP cardinals pick some of the bishops, and you're going to get a lot of effeminate bishops. Pretty pathetic, honestly. Okay. Let's go to a photo. And here we go. Okay, so I'm going to LifeSite News' article, but let me scroll. There it is. All right. So Pope Leo went to a parish church and celebrated Mass, and you can see this was the first sighting of altar girls. I don't think it's hard to see. Oh wait, let me get you maybe a better view here. Oh man, these settings are tough. Here we go. All right, it's a little bit more zoomed in, and so you can see there's two altar girls, and the one's wearing tennis shoes. And it ignited a debate on Twitter, or X, as you would call it. And people are unhappy about the fact that Pope Benedict the 14th in the 1700s, in an encyclical, said that the women serving at the altar was an evil practice. Quote, evil practice. What do you think about that? Can we just ignore popes? I mean, can we ignore them if they're preaching heretical doctrines, preaching heresy? Can we ignore them if they're making a papal statement in an encyclical calling women serving at the altar an evil practice because John Paul II directly contradicted that? So when the popes contradict each other, what do you go with? The most recent trend, even if it involves modernism? And that's, I don't know. That's something to think about, I guess. Okay. But, you know, shame on the effeminate men defending the practice of altar girls. It's not good. In fact, a pope called it evil. So can evil be good? Can it change with the times? I mean, apparently the Latin Mass is bad. Apparently it's apparently it's dangerous. It's dangerous to the modernist, the modernist theology. Okay, just really bad. Just really bad. You see, oh, there are great altar girls who are great servers. You don't need servers. Priest doesn't need servers. They might be doing a good job, but that doesn't mean they should be doing the job. Okay, in May 2025, oh, I'm going to end with a sicko story. In May of 2025, Leo declared Monsignor Alejandro Labaca as venerable, along with Sister Inez Arango Velazquez, with whom he worked. Info Católica recently highlighted concerning passages in Labaca's autobiographical writings. in which the bishop recounted his observations of disordered sexual practices of the Huaroni people in the Amazon. So he was a bishop that went to the Amazon, and they're going to try to make him an Amazon saint. I wonder if he converted any of them. I think he was killed eventually, and so they're trying to make him a martyr. But Labaka, this Monsignor, habitually lived nude with the Huarani in order to adapt to their culture. He also did other things, and if I talked about that, then this video would be restricted. So if you're interested in the perv stuff, then you can click a link to the article. In fact, I do encourage you to skim over it because it's helpful to know the latest ventures of the perv church. I'm trying to make this guy a saint. Some of this stuff is really sick. Okay. I don't know what happened with my style here. Oh, this might have been it. That's it. It defaulted back to my original, but anyway, all right. Is there a bigger? Oh, do we have the Synod font? I guess I should have figured this out before. No, we don't have the Synod font. Remember that? You remember the Synod, the Synod font, how it looked like children's writing? Okay, so it looks like StreamYard has restricted what I can do. So I can't actually use any of those. I can't use any fonts except the default. Darn. Okay, anyway, let's take a look at the comment. What's it called? Providence Sans, I think, is the Providence Sans is the font used by the Synod. And before I go, let me bring that up for you. Let me see if I can just find it really quick. Okay, it's thinking. Here we go. All right, let me share it. I'm going to, after this comment, I'm going to share it. A married LMNOP priest, but it's the SSPX. No, he's actually a divorced LMNOP priest. But yeah, it is a clown world. Okay, let's see. Let me share this here. There we go. Do you remember this font? Oh, nope. Okay. Oh, whoops. Too quick. There we go. Do you remember this font? And then they'd say something really fruity. Some synodal quote that's really fruity. Okay. Good enough. All right. I actually don't know what the Fifth Lateran Council says. I think the Fourth Lateran Council, I have an idea of what that says. So I don't know what I'm agreeing to here. More pawn shops. Okay. There's lots of saints have said lots of base things in the past, but those are mostly ignored. All right. Well, I guess I have more discovery to do on this layout, because they defaulted it to they changed it to the default stuff, and then they're going to charge me for some extra features, which is why I believe there's always a StreamYard. Where is it? It would be in the upper corner or the lower corner. I don't know. It's not there right now from what I can see, but there's an icon for StreamYard, because I do the free version, because I think well, I guess I can check my profits here for the past month. Oh boy, in the past month, $1.73 YouTube ad revenue. I'm really making bank here. Pretty soon I'll be able to retire and do this full time, and I can do like 8-hour live streams every day. Wouldn't that be amazing? Oh, okay. The Fifth Lateran Council approved pawn shops. Well, I will say this about ecumenical councils. Like, yes, some of them did involve heretics, I believe. I think Nicaea included Arius, and that was where St. Nicholas slapped him. But not every council included Protestants, and not every council included Soviet Communist Orthodox bishops, and not every council talked about inventing a new rite of Mass. So I hope the SSPX does have that dialogue with Kissy, rather than just saying we won't be back, because I'm intrigued to see what Kissy has to say. And I think it would actually further the justification of the SSPX consecrating new bishops. I mean, we have enough evidence now, and the people that are defending these practices, like, okay, so if someone goes to a Novus Ordo, it's like, okay, like, I'm not criticizing you or insulting you for that. But if you start defending the Novus Ordo practices like communion in the hand and altar girls, then that's a problem. Because where do you draw your line? You say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Well, it's not to you, because you were desensitized to the sacrilege. It's really sad to see. And then you keep drawing your line, you keep moving your line. So where are you going to draw your line at then? Women deacons? But then, okay, so they don't have women deacons. That's why people rejoiced whenever the Amazon Synod final document came out and it didn't include a call for women deacons. But that doesn't mean that the document was good. People said, oh, this is orthodox. No, it wasn't an orthodox document. It just wasn't. It just didn't include women deacons. So you have to keep an eye out. The modernists are really sneaky. They get something hyped up and they say, no, we're not going to do women deacons. You know, maybe they'll get it hyped up, and people are saying, oh, there's going to be women deacons. They say, no, we're not going to do that. But in a spirit of equality, we're going to let women preach. We're going to let women read the gospel. We'll let them lead communion services. Remember, I posted that video a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, about what women pseudo-deacons would look like. It was a communion service from the Waco parish in Syracuse, New York, where a woman led a communion service, and she prayed basically all the prayers of the priest except the consecration. And she gave herself communion, which is not permitted. I mean, I'm certain she read the gospel, and then she preached a homily during this communion service. And so that's going to be something. But I mean, and then you have, like in the Diocese of Pittsburgh, there is a woman acolyte. Like she basically, master of ceremonies, whatever you call it, it's a paid position. And yeah, you can get a priest to do that, but they decided to have a woman instead. And you know what? I'm going to pull it up. Just give me a minute. Okay. And okay, so the bishop is Mark Ekman. And, oh, that's kind of loud. And there we go. Okay, and then I'm actually going to just fast forward it. This wasn't even, I didn't play on this. Oh, wait. I'm going to try to adjust the view. There it is. Okay, I like to make it just a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. All right, so they're going to do this, and then they're hyping it. It's a little bit loud. I'm
that relationship of them serving Mass with him on a regular basis. And he really wanted to include them.
Okay, so
some of the other highlights from the Mass are able to be seen in our special edition of the Pittsburgh Catholic Magazine that we did for the installation Mass. Everyone who attends today will get this as they leave Mass. Everybody who's registered in the diocese,
there we go.
One of our high schools, Oakland Catholic High School. And then up on the altar with him today, he has some amazing women. He has two young women, right? Twins, Kelly and Ellie, and tell everybody what they'll be doing.
So these are young women that Bishop Ekman knew from his time as pastor in one of our parishes, Resurrection Parish in Bethel Park, that were his altar servers there. And after he was ordained bishop, he's continued that relationship of them serving Mass with him on a regular basis.
Okay, so you have seminarians, you have priests, and you choose young girls to be the altar servers for your installation Mass. That's the crisis. Okay, but it gets worse.
He wanted to include them here in his celebration as he begins his ministry.
He voluntarily decided.
I was able to interview their mom about it, and she, of course, as a mother, is just thrilled, to have her daughters participating here. The parish, I know, thinks of them as the A team. They've served with him so many times, so they know what they're doing. They know the Mass and the way that it works. And then we have Cece, someone who went on as part of a pilgrimage that many from the diocese went on with Bishop Mark to Italy for the Holy Year, and she will be there in charge of incense.
That's right. So she'll be helping with the seminary.
Oh man, so just get women to do everything on the altar. How pathetic.
And altar servers, whenever the incense is brought out for the bishop, she'll be assisting in that role as one of.
Okay, so
I think it's a good time to reflect and to pray, to say a prayer for the bishop and for our diocese.
Absolutely.
Tell us.
Okay.
And so it's a beautiful
There's a bunch
time
of priests,
to get
and they're going to be led
involved.
by
We have more
young girls.
information.
Knights of Columbus. They're going to be, young girls.
Our diocesan social media pages and our YouTube channel. Hello
There are other
and
women in the
welcome.
procession.
We wish you could be here with us in person, but
Like
we're so
Knights of
glad
Malta or
you're
something.
joining.
I don't know.
These fraternal orders that are forming up this first part of the
I would imagine
showing
these guys
groups
here are seminarians
locally
potentially
and internationally active in the church.
How inspiring that they're going to be serving on the
Next,
altar.
we have some our seminarians, young men who are studying for the priesthood, and again followed by our permanent deacons. These men ordained to the diaconate to do works of service and charity in our local church.
Okay.
In our diocese.
Okay, and here's
the rector here charged with our
bishop,
with our great cathedral.
There is Bishop Mark. Now he was asked by a reporter, tell me about that knock. Do you just like tap at the door? Do you did? He said, no. It's more like a battering ram situation.
It is more like a battering ram. He will take his crozier, right, which is the pastoral staff, that symbol of the bishop as shepherd.
I don't see the person I'm looking
on that
for yet.
door with the crozier.
I don't see the person I'm looking for.
Throughout the world,
Okay.
to erect
There we go. There we
a
go.
special crucifix intimately connected to it in
So the
this
bishop,
spousal
like a
relationship.
diocesan bishop,
We also
knocks
see
on the
in
door
shot
with his
that
staff.
Bishop Zubik or Bishop Ekman's wearing a cross around his neck, a pectoral cross, to show that he's always bearing the cross of Christ with him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there's the woman.
Everyone watching, let's join
This
in
is your woman
prayer
deacon.
for our new bishop, Bishop Ekman, and for our diocese
It's not
on this historic day.
it's not an official woman deacon, but it's a pseudo deacon. And you know, anyone, they could have chosen anyone, a seminarian, a priest, but he has a woman assisting him. And this wasn't his, you know, this isn't, he inherited this position because before him, the previous bishop, Bishop Zubik, had brought her on staff from as long as I'm aware. I don't. The previous bishop before him was Cardinal Worrell. Well, Bishop Worrell, Cardinal Worrell.
Responsibility.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was on staff for him or not. But anyway, she's
he wanted to be a parish priest.
she's
that was his dream. That was his
master of
calling.
ceremonies.
When
and,
he was asked to serve in a higher capacity,
Oh, Pierre's.
he was grateful that he didn't have to move. He
And I
could
guess.
stay home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, where are we at? Okay.
This isn't just any chat. It's clickable.
All right, I'm going to stop it there, but you get the idea. I felt like I'd share that. Just so you kind of see what's going on in other places, but yeah, female master of ceremonies, and they had seminarians. Yeah, that is kind of funny, but I don't know. I guess they sound very similar, Beckman and Ekman. Yeah, it's bad. It's all bad. There's a crisis. But you have to go to your local parish because you have to go to your local parish because that's the only way things are going to get better, right? You'll be able to make a major impact. You'll be able to go to the bishop and say, we don't want altar girls. And what's your bishop going to say? I want altar girls. In fact, I had them at my installation mass. So it's really sad. It's really sad. Get them to pray in the pews. That's you can do that. Okay, that's all I have for you today. That's all. That was a long video, but kind of had some side notes, and thanks for sticking with me on that. Brought up some random ideas, but that's the nice thing about StreamYard. You know, it's a little tricky to set up, as you could tell, but you know, I'm able to do I'm able to do this stuff and show you the videos, and after, you know, if I review the video, and hopefully the volume was adequate, because some of my videos the volume is kind of quiet, although if it's blasting out my ears, I don't know if I want to tolerate that so badly. But all right, this has been EVTN News. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.